Good evening, everyone. I would like to now call the meeting of the virtual regular city council on Monday, October 19th, 2020.
Sonia McLean
is now joining.
If we could, I would like everyone to join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
For the record, Madam City Clerk, do we have a quorum?
Yes, Mayor, we have a quorum. As of right now, we have Mayor Pro Tem Boffo, Councilmember Wolfley, Councilmember Ndebumagu, and Mayor Adams present.
And sorry, Councilmember Esteve is here, and Councilmember Harrison will be joining in one short moment. She's just wrapping up a meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember. I just saw your name pop up on my screen.
No worries at all.
Okay, thank you. And I'm giving the councilwoman a moment to see. Well, at this point, let us move forward. Do we have any agenda additions, deletions, or amendments at this time?
Yep, Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I'd like to make a motion to move item B in new business, the approval of resolution R-81-20 in support of local journalists to the consent agenda as whatever item comes next.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Is there any discussion at this time? If not, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Same favor? Any abstentions? City Clerk? I believe the motion carried. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So as a note, we will be moving item B of the new business to the consent agenda. Hearing no other agenda additions, deletions, or amendments, we will move forward to the citizen participation. I believe we have no citizen participation. Is that correct, City Clerk?
Correct, Mayor. At this moment, there are no comments under citizen participation.
And I believe we have no presentations at this time, correct?
Correct.
All right, we will now move to city boards and committees. And we are looking at the appointment at this time.
Joe Ferris
Is now joining.
Oh, there we go. We will be doing now the swearing in of those appointed to and interviewed and then appointed to the Ice Arena Task Force. The council concurred to appoint them, and we will now swear them in. As we go through this, I will begin the constitutional oath of office. After I just state your name, and we'll go through. Is everyone prepared, City Clerk? Because I can't see everyone, so.
I have, hold on, one of the participants, Andrea Christensen, is just logging in right now, and then I believe we have everybody present. Andrea, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Okay. Well, having that, we'll get started. If you could, I would ask you still to raise your right hand. I state your name.
I,
William Schmidt.
do
I,
swear
Sonia McLean,
I, Andrea Christensen,
do swear or confirm or affirm
Do swear or
affirm, do
That I
swear
will
or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will
that I
support the
will
Constitution of the United States
and that I will be faithful
and that I will be faithful
I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland
to the state of Maryland
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and support the Constitution and laws thereof,
and that I will,
that I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of
execute the office of
regular member of the ICE Arena Task Force
regular member of the ICE Arena Task Force,
according to the Constitution
according to the Constitution
according to the Constitution
and the laws of this state.
and the laws of the state.
and the laws of this state.
Congratulations to all of you and thank you.
Woo-hoo! Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And for the record, because I want to make sure we know who the 5 members are: Andrea Christensen, Sarah Erwicker, Sonia McLean, Bill Schmidt, and James Sesselman. Again, welcome and thank you for your willingness to serve and support us in this capacity.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, you're welcome to stay joined to the meeting at this time as we continue. Next, we have the council announcements.
Yep, Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. A couple quick announcements here, as everyone
Sonia
knows.
McLean.
Is now exiting.
As everyone knows, in a week, we start early voting here in the state of Maryland. For those in Bowie, the Bowie Gymnasium is the closest for you here in the city. However, because it is early voting, you are able to use any of the early voting facilities here in the state of Maryland. And I suggest that, here in the county specifically. And I suggest that you go to the local state board of elections to figure out your plan if you have not already voted early. So that's the first thing I wanted to talk about. Second thing I want to say to our community here is that COVID is still increasing throughout the country, as I'm pretty sure all folks are aware. We do expect a second wave according to the CDC. So I want to kind of remind everyone to continue to be safe and continue to protect your loved ones as we're out there. Third thing I want to do is I want to congratulate Bowie State and Google. Just a couple days ago, the university, in partnership with Google, launched the Career Readiness Program. It's a national program. 10 HBCUs were selected, Bowie State being one of them. It provides a $1 million grant that embeds Google's national online skills training initiative and allows these students to be ready for the workforce through some career center activities. So congratulations to Bowie State. I think this is one amazing step next to furthering our HBCU here in this area. Again, congratulations to everyone on the ICE Arena Task Force. Our first meeting will be Thursday at 7 p.m. For those members who haven't received that invite, Madam City Clerk should have already sent it out. Please feel free to reach out to me or her if you do not get it. But we are excited to get this done and get this ready. This is a long time coming, and we look forward to getting that done. And lastly, Mr. Mayor, as everyone noticed, today we moved Resolution R-81-20 to the consent agenda. I want to briefly just say that this resolution really will support local journalism. And right here in the city of Bowie, we have the Capital Gazette. And if you are not aware, they've been going through a lot of trials and tribulations, especially economic investment in their newsroom, like many other newsrooms across the country. And so this resolution says that the city of Bowie stands firmly with local journalists because we need our local newspapers. Now, I don't agree with everything the Capital Gazette prints, but that's the entire point of what this democracy is about, and how we can, continue to be strong and vibrant here in the city of Bowie. So if you want more information about what they're trying to do and how you at home can be helpful, I encourage everyone to visit SaveMarylandNewspapers.org. Again, that's SaveMarylandNewspapers.org, because we really do have to support our local papers here. And with that, Mr. Mayor, I am finished with my announcements.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I believe, is that you, Councilwoman Harrison?
You know I have some announcements, Mr. Mayor.
That's good news too, I'm sure.
Just a couple announcements tonight. And first, I want to congratulate the members of the Ice Arena Task Force. We look forward to working with you. And I know it's going to be a great opportunity for us to work with you in making sure our ice arena is a great place for the residents to come to. I just have a couple of quick announcements. To assist with the prevention of the possibility of overwhelming our local hospitals this fall and winter due to COVID and the flu, Councilmember Gardner and I are working with city staff and county officials to bring a no-cost flu shot to all Bowie residents. So you can check the City of Bowie website or call 311 for additional information on that, and we'll provide more information as it comes. With Halloween approaching, please check the city website for both CDC and Prince George's County information as it relates to safety and COVID. So our county executive is certainly encouraging everyone to not trick or treat, but to host or have something smaller at home with family for Halloween to be safe. So thank you, and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other announcements? Council members? If not, there's one other thing I'd like to present and say to all of us. We know, my understanding is that the
Is now joining.
County Council did reach the 70% mark in the census, and I'd like to thank everyone for their support on that, the council members who have been pushing that strongly, and the city staff. So again, it seems like the county did reach the 70% mark, and though we would always like to be higher, I think there's congratulations to go out for that. And I'd also like to thank not only those who were named to the Ice Arena Task Force, but those who also participated in the process. We want to thank you for your interest and support as well. Having said that, I will now move to the city manager's report.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council and residents out there in Bowie. There was a lot of mention of Halloween. All the activities that would normally be held by our Community Services Department will be virtual this year, and I encourage people to check the website out and participate. There will be decoration issues and haunted houses and all those things, but we're going to do it all virtually, and because we don't encourage anybody to trick or treat because of the obvious hazards associated with that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We will now move to the consent agenda. We have approval of the May 27 special meeting minutes, approval of Proclamation P-1220, proclaiming Elevator Escalator Safety Awareness Week. We have approval of Resolution R77-20, accepting bid for concrete repairs at the water treatment plant. We have approval of Resolution R7820, which is waiving the competitive bidding requirements of the city charter to allow the city to enter into contracts with various snowplow contractors that may exceed $25,000 in aggregate value. We have approval of Resolution R80-20, waiving bidding requirements to authorize purchase of a building automation system full service agreement for HVAC controls at the Bowie Senior Center. And we also now have approval of resolution R-81-20 in support of local journalists.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second to accept the consent agenda as is with the amendment made. All those in favor, please reply by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same favor. Abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. We have no old business on the agenda, and we will now move to the new business. And that's the detailed site plan, number 07031-04, Melford, Pod 6.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the record, Frank Stevens from the City Planning Staff. To review with you tonight, DSP 07031-04 for Encompass Health. Turning your attention to a PowerPoint show, and these are attachments that are in our staff report. This first slide is the Melford property. To the south is U.S. Routes 15301, and to the west is Maryland Route 3. Melford Boulevard comes in from the west and goes to the east in this configuration and intersects Marconi Drive. And the property we're talking about 6.5 acres, is right in this location. This is an enlargement of the immediate neighborhood.
Pardon me, are we looking for a projection? For
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
City Attorney, are you seeing the?
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Thank you.
So this is the second attachment.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Please go right ahead.
Okay. Melford Boulevard runs in this direction from west to east and intersects Marconi Drive. The property we're talking about is this 6.5 acre piece in this location just to the south of Melford Boulevard. For a point of reference, this building here, a few hundred feet away, is the County 911 call system, and in this vicinity is the new Tribute Assisted Living Facility. Routes 301 and 50 are to the south in this alignment here. This also shows an existing wet stormwater management pond in this location, to which the property will drain through a system of on-water pipes, and also from a bioretention facility, which also drains into this wet pond. And there are also about 6 acres of woodland conservation that in this location here that abut the property. The stormwater management concept plan has been approved and is valid until April of 2021, and there's an existing TCP2 approved for the Melford development as well. This is attachment 3 in the staff report, and this is the detailed site itself. Again, Melford Boulevard up here and Marconi Drive over here, and to the south
Is now exiting.
To the south is Howerton Way. Vehicular access to the property is in
now exiting.
two places. There's a two-way driveway in this location to the west and a two-way driveway to the east over here. There is no access to the property from Marconi Drive or from Howerton Way. The internal driveway is a loop road that goes around the perimeter of the property with about 144 spaces that come off of that loop driveway. 27 of those are handicap parking spaces. You can see the outline of the building, which is generally an L-shaped building in this configuration here. And this structure in the middle is a gazebo and therapy courtyard area. On page 3, there's a summary of this virtual stakeholders meeting that was held on September 24th, 2020. The analysis of the detailed site plan begins on page 3 of our report. where we discuss the purposes of detailed site plans as set forth in the county zoning ordinance, as well as the required finding that needs to be made to approve a detailed site plan, also set forth in the county zoning ordinance. This next slide is attachment 5 in the report. It is the architectural elevations of the proposed building. It's a one-story, 61,000 square foot building with 60 beds. This top elevation A is the front elevation that faces Melford Boulevard. Elevation B faces to the east, faces Marconi Drive. Elevation C is the rear elevation facing the stormwater pond, and then elevation D faces to the southwest. This is attachment 6 in our report. It's the landscape plan, which is discussed on page 7 of the report. You can see that the site is proposed to be heavily landscaped with a variety of shade trees and shrubs. There are no invasive plant species proposed, and all the plants, shrubs, and trees proposed are native species. This slide is attachment 7 in our report regarding lighting, which is discussed on page 7 of the report. And the purpose is to show the detail of the light poles in the upper left-hand corner of this attachment. This is attachment 8 in the report, where we discuss signage on page 8. And the purpose of this is to show one of the two types of signs that are proposed for the project. This building sign is above the entrance, the main entrance to the building. There are two other signs proposed, one at each access point into the property. We discuss master plan conformance of the proposal on pages 9 and 10 of our report, and based on our evaluation and discussion in the report, we conclude that the Melford development conforms to the area master plan. The staff recommendation for approval and the reasons for that recommendation are stated on page 10 of the report, and the conditions that we're recommending are stated on pages 10 and 11 of our report. That concludes the staff presentation. I'd like to turn the rest of the presentation over to Mr. Terry Rogers, Chairman of the Bowie Advisory Planning Board.
Mr. Rogers, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Stevens, and good evening, Mayor, City Council, staff. On behalf of the Bowie Planning Advisory Board, for the record, I'm Terry Rogers, and I'm the chairman of that board for this year. And on Tuesday, October 13th at 7 o'clock, we convened our meeting. We had a quorum of all of the Planning Advisory Board members, and we heard the detailed site plan presentation as described by Mr. Stevens, being DSP 07031 TAC 04, docket number 20-07. And unanimously, the board concurred with staff's recommendation for approval. There were numerous comments from my colleagues who gave accolades to the developer for the well thought out and well laid out facility that's planned for that area. We felt that it is something that's needed in this area, and we believe, based on the qualifications as presented by the developer, that this is going to be a quality project that will service and provide many years of great service to the citizens of Bowie. And so with that, once again, we did give unanimous approval for Encompass Health development. That concludes our report.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers.
You're welcome.
City Clerk, do we have any comments from citizens?
Yes, sir. We do have one comment that was submitted this evening for this item as a public hearing item.
Okay.
Dear Bowie, please allow the creation of the proposed mostly senior therapy facility. My mom used the dialysis center at Melford and was driven there by Bowie's free bus system. This facility would be an additional elder support program that keeps money in our city instead of forcing our elderly to use the Metro bus to get to their appointments with facilities out of our city. I am always proud to share how wonderful Bowie services were for my mom. Add the dollars benefits to add a local PT business. Helping our seniors and adding to our city tax revenue creates a win-win. And it's from Erica Lancaster. And that's all the comments received, Mayor.
Thank you. At this time, do we have anyone else speaking on the project?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. For the record, Matthew Tedesco with the law firm of McNamee Hosey here on behalf of the applicant Encompass Health.
Okay. Thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Again, Matt Tedesco on behalf of Encompass Health. Also with me this evening, I would like to introduce, we have a full compilation of attendees joining to be able to respond to any questions or comments that that you and the council may have, as well as if there was any citizen inquiries. With me this evening, I have Mr. John Shuden from Encompass. He's Encompass Health. He's the Director of Design and Construction. Mr. Art Wilson was on, but I believe was disconnected. I think he's trying to access back in. He's also with Encompass Health. From Soltes, who's the civil engineer, we have David Bickle. From Lenhart Traffic and Consulting, we have Mr. Mike Lenhart. And the architect of record is Mr. Joseph Ferris. He's with Frederick Architects. We also have with us this evening representatives of St. John's Properties, Mr. Andrew Roud, Mr. Ken Finley, as the owners of the Melford project, as you all well know. And their representative, Mr. Robert Antonetti, is also joining us this evening. And I would like to thank all of them for being here with us this evening.
Is now joining.
Mr. Mayor, I think the staff report speaks for itself. I think Mr. Rogers did a fantastic job as far as summarizing our hearing before his body, the Advisory Planning Board. And I believe the citizen that Ms. Hernandez read from, I believe she may have even attended the stakeholder meeting too, but that was also extremely positive. I do have a PowerPoint presentation that I can share with the mayor and council, which we shared with the Advisory Planning Board, if that's okay.
Please. Please proceed.
I'm going to try and share my screen if I am able to do so. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much again, and I appreciate your indulgence while we're dealing with these technological advancements with these hearings these days. And I'm remiss by saying thank you for having these virtual hearings so that we can continue the business of the city as well as Prince George's County. So I appreciate your efforts as well as your staff efforts and Madam Clerk's efforts in making sure we can continue with these projects. The first slide that you see before you is an overall of the Melford project. I know everyone is extremely familiar with the Melford project, but I thought this was helpful to show the inpatient rehabilitation facility that's proposed in this detailed site plan is located here, outlined in yellow. If you can see my cursor, it's in the southeastern quadrant of the property. Route 50 is to the south. Route 3 is to the west. Melford Boulevard is right to the north of the subject site, as explained by Mr. Stevens. So we shared this slide with everybody because we thought it was important to make sure that the city knew what they were getting with Encompass Health. And although it's in your staff report and referenced by Mr. Rogers in his report to you all, Encompass Health is the nation's leading provider of inpatient rehabilitation care in the United States. In 2019, they employed over 31,000 employees, and they have over 133 IRFs, which is inpatient rehabilitation facility, IRF for short, 133 throughout the United States, in 33 states as well as Puerto Rico. This facility, although this slide includes home health as well as hospice information, this facility will not be a home health or hospice facility. There is an assisted living facility that was just recently provided in Melford. So this facility will not have those services, only an inpatient rehabilitation facility. This slide is really informative. And again, a lot of this information is in your staff report. So I won't belabor the point any, but we wanted to include this one so that everyone was aware of not only what an inpatient facility that Encompass offers is, but what it isn't also, because we think that's very important. As I mentioned, they are the leading provider of post-acute medical services and is the nation's largest owner and operator of inpatient facilities in the country. They treat patients who have undergone treatment for acute medical events such as strokes, spinal cord injuries, neurological conditions, amputations, lower extremity fractures, or joint replacements. And following treatment need short-term intensive physical rehabilitation prior to the patient's return to the community. They do not, and I repeat, do not offer comprehensive inpatient services such as surgical or diagnostic services, and do not operate emergency departments. Furthermore, Encompass IRFs do not provide drug and alcohol or mental health rehabilitative services. The purpose, just so everyone is aware of an inpatient rehabilitation facility, is to provide specialized inpatient healthcare dedicated to improving, maintaining, and restoring physical strength, cognition, and mobility to patients after an acute event such as illness, injury, or surgery. The average age of patients in the facility is 71, with the average stay being 13 days. This slide is representative of just an overall snapshot of the percentages of the common diagnoses. As you can see, neurological is at the makes up the majority of the diagnoses at 21.5%, followed by stroke and disability, brain dysfunction, other orthopedic fractures, traumas, cardiac conditions, spinal cords, replacement of lower extremity joints, hip, knee, things like that, amputation, and others. In order to be admitted, there's an admission criteria. You have to be able to undergo 3 hours of therapy a day, 15 hours a week. You have physician care 3 times a week, and there's nursing care 24 hours, 7 days a week. And you must obviously be medically stable. This slide is to just give a snapshot of the providers and services that the facility will provide. Numerous rehabilitative and rehabilitation physicians, nurses, and therapists, both physical and occupational. We have speech language therapists, respiratory therapists, case managers, and then post-discharge services. As Mr. Stevens indicated, the facility is proposed to be 60 beds, all private rooms, about 62,000 square feet. Ideally, groundbreaking will occur in March of 2021, with a grand opening in May of 2022.
Is now joining.
Total capital investment is about $47 million. This slide was just was included to provide representations of similar facilities and architectural and other parts of the United States that were just recently constructed. 2 in Texas, 1 in South Carolina, and 1 in Boise, Idaho. We included this slide, so although not subject to detailed site plan approval per se, we wanted to make sure that we gave the city, the community, and citizens a really good understanding of what the facility is. So we included these images to show the therapy gym, the daily living suite, the reception lobby, and the nursing station. This is a photograph of a typical room, private room with facilities, all handicap accessible as you would expect. Again, similarly, we wanted to provide information with respect to some of the common areas within the facility, sample dining rooms and outside grounds. And Mr. Stevens hit on that with respect to the outside features that are shown on the detailed site plan. This is a rendered site plan showing landscaping, parking, and the building, which is an L shape. And this is the outdoor area with gazebo here and facility. These are just other identical images that Mr. Stevens shared with you regarding the architecture and the elevations that are proposed. The main entrance to the building is here, which is right here facing Melford Boulevard. And this is the last slide we have for you this evening. This is a three-dimensional rendered view of the building that's proposed. So with that, Mr. Mayor, again, I wanted to just highlight one final thing. We did agree with staff's recommendation with respect to the conditions. We accepted them as proposed. We indicated that to the advisory planning board as well. And we're happy to answer any questions and would certainly hope and welcome the council's full support. I would mention that this goes to the planning board on November 5th. So in a couple of weeks, we'll be before the planning board, and we would certainly welcome the city's full support of this application. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
First and foremost, thank you for your presentation today. I will entertain questions from council members, but first, just one quick question I have, and we'll come back, and that's on the stormwater management concept plan. It says that it was approved April 17th, 2019, and it's valid until April 17th, 2021. Does that seem to be any problem, delay-wise or anything, or will you be able to meet that time frame?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, great question. Yeah, that time frame is perfectly fine because when we go through, once we complete the detailed site plan process, we'll go through the technical review for permitting. And at that time, the technical stormwater plans will be approved before that expiration of that date. If for some reason things slip, again, we hope to be in the ground by March of next year, which is prior to that date. But if for whatever reason things slip, we can always extend that deadline through the concept approval. But the technical approval will supersede that. And again, we expect that before that expiration.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Having said that, I'll open it up. Any council members with questions at this time?
Mr. Mayor, this
Yeah.
is Councilmember Gardner. I do not.
Good
have
afternoon.
any questions.
Well, good evening. Go ahead,
Oh,
Councilman.
good evening. Good afternoon. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I do not have any questions. Just wanted to thank them for coming out and sharing the detailed site plan with us, and look forward to seeing this structure come on board. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other comments or questions by any of the council members?
Real quickly, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Estelle?
Thank you, sir. I just want to say a big thank you to the applicant, to St. John's Properties, and everyone involved for your due diligence on this. In speaking with my colleagues and in speaking with constituents, this is exactly the kind of project that I think residents broadly feel is needed in our community. One that's targeted in particular towards senior citizens, in particular towards those who have medical needs, as we all will, as we all age. And so I appreciate your work on this, and I appreciate that you're bringing something to the community that I think everyone can really get behind. So thank you.
Mr. Mayor, may I respond? Thank you, council member. May I respond just briefly, because that's a good segue to something I omitted, which was council member Estev's comment on the need. This use, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This use does require what's called a certificate of need from the state of Maryland in order for it to move forward. And I'm happy to report, and I should have mentioned this from the outset, but I am happy to report that we have obtained that certificate of need from the state that has been issued. So as learned Councilmember Sevi indicated with respect to just maybe the perception of need in the community, the state has determined through its licensing that it is needed. And so we're happy to facilitate it. And we obviously think that this is a win-win for all those involved. And so point well taken. And I just wanted to highlight that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council members who have any comments or questions?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilman.
First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out and participating this evening. Appreciate the input and the presentations as well. A couple quick questions for you. What type of time frame are we looking at for completion?
So good question, Councilmember Wolfrey. We are hopeful to be in the ground, like I said, March of 2021. And one of the slides that we provided, if you just, your indulgence, we hope to have a grand opening May of 2022. So it's about a year, give or take, build out.
Excellent, thank you.
Sure.
I noted that we had a requirement or a request for EV parking. Could you include charging with that? You know, level 2 charging, just ordinary charging station?
Yeah, I think that's how we interpret it, but I can maybe defer to John or to David Bickle on that. I believe we were providing that, if I'm not mistaken. David?
Then we'll just consider it as done then.
Yeah, like I said, we had no objection with that recommended condition, council member. So, you know, we're happy to accept it.
Excellent. The next question, what will the relationship be between your facility and the Bowie Health Center and Anne Arundel and Prince George's? Will there be some collaborative arrangements with any one in particular, or will you be serving all hospitals and other sources?
So I think the short answer to that is yes, but I'm going to defer to Mr. Shuden if John has that information in greater detail. I know that there's been ongoing discussions among Compass and some of those facilities, but I don't want to misrepresent anything. John, do you happen to have that detail?
I do for the time being. That detail is changing as it does from time to time. But to make a long story short, we will serve all acute care hospitals. As a post-acute provider, we sometimes seek out a partnership with an acute care provider, or they seek out a partnership with us. However, that partnership does not limit us or require us to accept patients from a single source provider. We will serve every patient that's in need.
Thank you. I just know that I think given the proximity of our health center, I think it would be nice if we had a nice, shall we say, complete suite of services available to the community here, and if they were interconnected, that would be outstanding. I recognize that that's probably not sufficient enough to fill 60 beds, and I certainly recognize that there will be other sources, but I would encourage us to be as integrated with the community as possible. And
understood. Yeah, I think that's our intention as well, council member.
Thank you kindly. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Harrison, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I just wanted to thank you all for a wonderful presentation. I read through all the documents, and I really appreciate all of the, the information. And I really think that this project is going to be an asset to Melford and to the city. So thank you so much for providing this to our residents.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council members want any comments or questions at this time? Hearing none, I'd like to say thank you for your presentation. Again, I think this is something that, as you say about a certificate of need, it shows that it's needed in our community, and we appreciate you taking the time to come out this evening to answer our questions.
It's been our pleasure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, council members, and we look forward to your continued support as we move forward with this project. Thank you so much.
Hey, again, thank you. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead.
I'd like to move that we approve detailed site plan 07031-04 for Melford product, Pod 6.
Second.
I like to second that.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion at this time? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor of approval of the detailed site plan number 07031-04 Melford Pod 6 to Encompass Health.
Hey,
Please say by saying aye.
Mr. Mayor, I request a roll call vote.
Yep. Excuse me?
Requesting a roll call vote, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. It's been requested for a roll call vote. City Clerk, I will go last.
Mayor Pro Tem Boffo,
Aye.
Councilmember Gardner,
Aye.
Councilmember Harrison,
Aye.
Councilmember Esteve,
Aye.
Councilmember Wolfley,
Aye.
Councilmember Ndebumalu,
Aye.
Mayor Adams.
Aye. To make that a unanimous vote.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So the motion carries. Again, thank you, everyone. I'd like to thank the city staff as well as our committee and everyone for their efforts in bringing this to us this evening. We will now move on to item C of new business, the discussion of a public safety self-defense virtual training for young women and men. And the council member who brought this to the agenda, if you could share with us.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Actually, I think this technically originated with a project that Councilmember Ndebumalu was working on. I simply asked to be added to the agenda tonight so that we could check off that box. Councilmember, if you have anything to add, as I understand it, we just needed a grant authorization to staff to work with the residents who had reached out to us about putting on a one-time program in conjunction with members of the Bowie City Police Department and at least one counselor from the city's Youth and Family Service Department. The program will be teaching self-defense virtually to men and women, and will also include a member of our Youth and Family Services office who will be talking about trauma and mental health as a part of that class. If I remember correctly, the date of that class is supposed to be November the 17th at 6 p.m. And I just wanted us to discuss it and give staff authorization to be working on that event.
Thank you, Council Member. Any other questions or discussions from any of the other council members?
Yeah, just a point of clarification here. Is this a Councilmember Esteve or Ndebumalu? Is this a town hall type of event, or are we talking about something more broader in the public safety realm?
I don't believe this is intended to be a town hall, no.
Would it, I'm sorry.
Okay.
A quick question as well. Would this be, is this open to the public?
Yes, this is for the public's benefit.
Okay, and any of the council members before I?
Yeah, sorry, one more time for point of clarification here. Can one of the members please explain? I think we're just trying to understand, if we're talking about a town hall here, are we talking about a broader public safety thing that we would need to work with the school system on? But just trying to understand.
Nope. So this is just a local resident who has already put on a ton of events with the city. As a part of that broader program, she wants to do with the city's police department. She's already reached out to Deputy Chief Preston about it. He's put her in touch with an instructor who can assign the course. So this is just a part of that program. And this one will be for the public, as all the previous ones have been.
Okay. Any other questions from any other council members? And so
excuse me.
just to try and clarify this, so we're looking at on November the 17th at 6 p.m. a virtual training. And at this point, that would be something that there's already been discussions with the police department and others to do that. And this is a one-time event, and we're looking simply to be able to agree as a council to give staff the approval to move forward with this.
It's, Mr. Mayor, there was some consulting with the police department, but this is not a coordinated event with Bowie Police Department as of yet.
Okay, so are we looking, city manager, to simply give?
Well, Mr. Mayor, as you know, last month we had a big discussion over these type of events, and you all gave us direction to write a policy on that. We are still in the process of doing so. Ona Cooper, who our communications director, is doing that. We plan to have that policy available and ready to present at the December meeting. But in light of that, based on the direction we received then, in order for us to take on this mission that Mr. Washington has proposed, we would need direction from the county, because it will require the use of our systems and employees working late night and Zoom meeting support, all those things that we have to do to put on virtual meetings. So, but this is not a coordinated event from the police department. She may want to utilize the assets. I don't know. I haven't talked to her, and she hasn't called me. And so she asked a question to a police department, but this is not a Bowie PD event.
Councilman Steph, do you have any?
Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor, if I may?
Yes, please, Councilwoman.
I'm sorry, I just got a little bit more information about this event. It looks like I'm not sure what information staff may has, and I know that the police department isn't here this evening to speak on this, but it looks like this is supposedly supposed to be an event that is in conjunction with Deputy Chief Preston, which looks like it's a personal defense class to be offered to Bowie residents on November 17th is what the goal is. So I thought, correct me if I'm wrong, just a quick question here, and I want to apologize to all the residents. I have on a scarf. This is not a blanket, it's a scarf because I'm anemic. But just a quick question. I thought at the last meeting, our direction was for these types of things for them to go through a committee while staff works out the policy. So Mike, do you know if the Public Safety Committee is involved in this at all?
I don't.
Okay.
I do not. Yeah.
Okay.
They could be, though.
Okay.
I'm on the Public Safety Committee, and I haven't, we didn't have a meeting the last time, so I don't recall it being brought forward to us. So.
Also, I spoke to Chief Preston specifically about this issue, and this is not something that was coordinated with Bowie PD. This is not a Bowie PD event specifically. But there were some discussions. He helped them find some resources, but that's the extent of it.
Okay, so is this something we're looking to move forward with as a council? And I'm asking Councilwoman Ndibumadu, at this time, do you still want to move forward and see what we can do at this time?
This isn't my initiative, so just want to make that clear. But however, I see nothing wrong in offering a personal defense class to residents. I see nothing wrong with us supporting that that happening in conjunction with whoever it is, and happy to find out more information on this and present this to residents during the next council hearing. But I see nothing wrong with that. I mean, we're in specific times, and if this is going to be helpful to the community, then I don't see a problem with us being able to support this. But those are just my thoughts.
This is a question for Council and Devin Madu. Have you considered also, along with this, contacting the City of Bowie local television station and having it recorded and run there on rotation? It could be very helpful to many residents at home during the pandemic.
I think that's a great idea, and happy to find out where the suggestion is coming from and do more research, but I'm not super aware on the details of this event. But from what I'm hearing tonight, I don't see a problem with us being able to support it.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
Councilmember Estev, is this time sensitive at all? Because if not, I think the recommendation that I would have is we allow city staff to work on the policy that we're rolling out in December, but in the meantime, refer this to the Public Safety Committee to kind of figure out how this can best impact a broader group of residents, right? I think that especially in these COVID times and as we continue to head into the new year, self-defense is going to be a thing that we need to discuss. We have a local college not far, well, outside of our city limits, but not far from here, that may also want to participate in this. And there may be an opportunity with PGCPS to have a broader discussion about what we can do here. But just want to make sure that this isn't a time-sensitive thing that we're talking about.
We also have I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, we also have a program of our own that the police department puts together for self-defense as well. So there might be some consideration there with what we do there.
Okay. Councilman Estef, what are your thoughts at this point?
Yep. So we literally just need access to the Zoom account, as we've done many times now. And we've literally done this a million times. So we just need to give access or give authorization to staff to utilize the city's resources as we have many times so far for this program on November the 17th at 6. And that's literally all we need.
That sounds rather simple. I mean, what's the big deal? Just go ahead, let's do this, guys.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion if we're at that point.
At this point, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to have staff support this event on November 17th on personal defense and work with the residents to be able to offer this to the broader community of Bowie residents.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. Discussion. Hearing none, move for the question. All in favor, respond by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Same option. Abstain? Motion carries. And we will be able to have city staff, if you would, please look at what we need to do to accomplish this. And we appreciate that. Having
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I didn't want to, I thought you were going to say something on personal privilege, but if not, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn and move to closed session. To adjourn to closed sessions under statutory authority of the Maryland Annotated Code, State Government Article subsection 3-305B7, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Motion carries. Hey, I'd just like to say thank you again to staff and to everyone and to the citizens for joining us this evening. And I ask that you continue to please stay safe. And remember that we're still in a trying time. And don't let COVID fatigue set in. Again, thank you and have a good night.